G'day boys and girls, this is IronWings3187 coming at you with another review. So I decided to get back into a little bit of firearms review since I have some free time today, and I wanted to do some quick discussions. Today we will be talking about my Winchester 1894 made in 1950. It is chambered in .30-30, comes with standard buckhorn sights and a hooded front sight. Checking to make sure it's empty. Winchester was never really something that was all that budget focused. Winchester was very much the higher end of what rifles you could get in the 1860s to like the 1950s. These were considered high-end rifles. They were something that you would save up for and get. Especially when you consider these were tools of a trade. And a lot of people who are out in middle America didn't really upgrade. You still see a lot of people out there who are using these rifles because they still work, they're still firing, and they're still accurate to a degree. This is kind of a hard discussion for me to have because personally, as much as I love the lever action, as much as I love that feeling, and I love this 1894 because it is the quintessential cowboy gun, it really is just kind of the absolute classic must that you have to have in your collection for Americana. That along with 1892. I really don't like this rifle all that much when it comes to shooting. Hanging up on a wall, making it look nice. Appearance-wise, is without a doubt one of my favorite rifles I own. When it comes to firing and disassembly, I loathe this rifle, despise it, because you're stuck with iron sights due to the top ejecting system. I've seen some guys that'll flatten out the back of this bolt carrier group and put a rear mounted peep sight on it, like a Williams peep sight. I've also seen people put recon or ranger style long eye relief scopes on it. But for the traditional pre-1990s model 1894, you can't mount optics on it really with any good solution, due to it being top eject. This is also only half cock or full cock. There's no this is as traditional as it comes for the 1894. It's top eject instead of side eject like later models would be with a relief cut on the receiver. There's no Clinton safety where this screw should be. And my issue with it is this is an extremely overcomplicated rifle. This was never going to go into military service outside of a few niche spots covered by sea and arsenal. Instead, this is very much a sportsman's utilitarian rifle, something you carry up a mountain or in the brush and it not snag on everything, and it's also extremely light for what it's designed to be. That being said, it is a pain in the ass to disassemble to the point where there are, I think, more disassembly tutorials on YouTube of this rifle than there are reviews. Because almost anyone who's grown up in America has shot one of these, especially in .30-30. This is the deer gun, and it has been for almost a century. Oh, well, it's not going to hurt it after all. Survived this long, almost 100 years. But yeah, you see, if you look at this receiver here, you have got no less than a dozen screws and pins throughout the side of this receiver holding this entire rifle together, and it is almost like a jigsaw puzzle that you have to disassemble. That's why I dislike this rifle when it comes to shooting at the range or practical use. Not because it's inaccurate, because it's been shot so much, it is a .30-30 in 1894 made in the 50s. This kind of came at the height of, this was made at the height of, westerns and when cowboy action, everything else really got going again. This has kind of been shot all to hell because of the time it was made, how popular cowboys and westerns were in the 1950s. It's pretty much burnt out. It's still able to hit something at about 75 to 100 yards, maybe 3 out of 5 shots. But that's about the best I've been able to get. It's just the complication of stripping this thing down. And it's even worse if you have something go wrong with it, a malfunction or some part breakage that causes this rifle to stop. The .30-30 Winchester rifles, we've gotten this legendary reputation for them that they won't jam, they won't fail. But because of the complication in these rifles, especially when it comes to disassembly, they are notoriously finicky, especially when taking apart and putting back together. And add in the price of this thing. This one was given to me by a relative, and he knows I've coveted it for a long time because I love lever actions in Western guns. But, oh my god, this thing, the price on it. I've seen 30-30s at my local gun shop. These 1894s, if they're pre-50, sell for $1,600 in this condition where it's got a little bit of rust. This thing is beat to hell, but there are still people who are ludicrous enough to think this commands four-figure sums. When realistically, this is not a beginner's gun for cleaning at all. I think I've broken this thing down a total of 2 times to properly fully clean the action, which is not good at all, because this thing gets caked in carbon. I've gone in and wiped this down with a hand rag, and it's come out completely pitch black. It still runs, but I don't feel comfortable leaving a weapon in that condition. So, do I think you should go out and get one of these? If you think you can get a good deal on one, and I'm talking sub $1,000, and you need a rifle for hunting, go ahead, because after the pandemic, you're going to be able to find 30-30 just about anywhere. And that's about the one thing this rifle has going for it, is the fact that 30-30 is found almost everywhere. And I've said in the past video, I actually legitimately think when I went to a local Piggly Wiggly in Kentucky at the base I was stationed at, that had 30-30 ammo in like a little small outdoorsman section. So you can find 30-30 just about anywhere in the United States post or pre-pandemic. But if you're walking into a gun shop and you see one of these for $1,800 and it's a burnt out or it's a little rusty, it's not like factory new, I'd say just pass on it, because this really isn't the rifle you want to get into when it comes to just hunting, shooting. This is something that if you use it, it takes your dedication and your time when it comes to stripping, maintaining, working. Hell, this front sight. When I first got this rifle, yet again you can see, unloaded, this front sight hood, when I first got this, I took it to the range, and I made sure that sucker was on there tight. I mean, I crimped the thing as tight as I could, because whenever I take it out of the leather sheath it came in from my grandfather, the hood would just come off and I'd have to shake the bag to get it out. What I did is I crimped the sucker down with a pair of needle nose, not leaving any marks, just tightened it down, and after about 10 shots, it went flying and I couldn't find the fucker anywhere. And it drove me nuts for months, because without that front sight hood, that sight is so fine. When you shoulder this rifle, it just gets lost in that buckhorn rear sight. So, granted, I went to the range a couple months later with my friends. They were looking around, they found this little, oh, what's this? And it's my front sight hood about 10 yards down from the firing line. But the fact that the front sight hood on this went flying, that should tell you all you need to know about the Winchester 94. It's got this legendary attribute to it, but when push comes to shove, it really is just serviceable at best. It is outdated. I love the rifle to death. I think it's great fun, but it's not practical anymore, guys. We need to move on from the myth and the legend that this is the height of hunting rifles. The 30-30 is the ballistic equivalent of a 7.62 by 39 with double the kick because of the weight of the rifle. The Winchester 94 has none of the benefits of an AK or any bolt action that's chambered in 7.62 by 39. All these different issues come into play when it comes to the Winchester 94. And don't get me wrong, guys, this is not meant to be an anti-94 rant. This is not me hating on this rifle, because I do love it. It is near and dear to my heart, and I do like taking it to the range every once in a great while. But I can't justify taking it out any more than that because of the cleaning issue alone. I'm the type of guy that doesn't like a gun sitting in his room for 6 months at a time without cleaning, but I have to leave this rifle like that because more often than not, you need like 8 hands and an afternoon to clean this sumbitch. So, what I recommend you pick it up. Again, if you can find one in good condition with a decent barrel and one that's not ridiculously overpriced and post 64, yeah, you can go ahead and pick it up. It's going to be just a fun gun, really. It's not all that practical anymore, but just be aware of this, that some rifles just don't live up to the hype. And I'm sure in the 1890s when this was made, because it was the first rifle to be chambered in a smokeless cartridge on the American continent, in terms of commercial sporting use, it's long since become obsolete, guys, and we gotta move on from it. It really is just time to let the 94 go. It keeps working, it's reliable, but we've got better options now. Hell, even the Marlins that Ruger are making now, the Marlin is so much easier to disassemble, comes in the same calibers, and is much better to me because it's much more sturdy and much more reliable. Even the Browning lever action, which I have railed against their 22 version, is somewhat better because, yeah, you can't really disassemble it to clean the action, but you also have rimless cartridges that feed in it, it's magazine fed, and it's shooting Spitzer cartridges. It's the best evolution of the 1895 we could hope for. So, for the price you pay for this, if you get a pristine brand new model, you could also go out and get a brand new BLR in 308 Winchester for about the same price. I think even a little cheaper now. So go ahead and pick one of these up if you want. I'm not going to say nay, yay, nay, because this is all about personal taste. Most of the guys that will buy this will do so because they like Winchester arms, they like the 1894 itself, they grew up watching westerns, so on and so forth. But that being said, I don't know how else to say it beyond just, it's not great, guys. It's not. It's serviceable at best. So with that being said, and with that weight off my shoulders, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. This is Iron Wings 3187, signing off.